so many people here today at the end of June, almost July. I'm Kelly Gallagher Kiley. I'm the second vice chair for Lawrence County Democratic Party. Our chair, Booker Ingram, is recovering from surgery, so he's not with us today, but he is with us in spirit. And I notice Chrissy put this up here. It's our little mascot. Do you see it sitting on top of disinfecting wipes? So clearly that's what we need to do in the state and federally and nationally. So let's get started today with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if everyone can stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Not just for some. So we're glad you're all here today. Thank you for being here. I want to start, it's not on here, but I want to start with the financial report, if we could do that, with our treasurer, Rob Weisner.
Okay. As of yesterday, June 26th, we had a balance of $5,151.86. Since the last time I gave a report, the balance was $5,068.20. We collected $393.24 and spent $309.58. Balance yesterday, $5,151.86.
Thank you so much, Rob. All righty. So today we're going to start off with some old business and talk about different things that have happened since we have come together today. The first would be the Annie Andrews Town Hall. Who in here attended? Okay, good. We had a good number of folks attend. I was not able, I was out of town. Tell me what you thought went well.
Everything.
Everything.
It was absolutely wonderful. She spoke, she was articulate, she's a good speaker, but she had facts and figures and details. We had a great crowd there, had some great questions, and it was just absolutely. I think, I'm fairly confident it was more than she expected from Little County, Lawrence County.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's an important thing for all candidates, especially statewide candidates and national candidates, to kind of understand is that there are people who vote here in Lawrence County and can help sway that vote. Yes.
And we did have guests there from Union and Salute.
So we had other counties
Other
there as
counties.
well.
Other counties was present.
Had somebody from Greenville too, I think.
I'm just remembering the two that I know that somebody else might want to add some money.
Okay,
I just
yeah.
remember it was pouring down rain that morning when I was driving to work, too.
Yeah.
It was a very rainy weekend for sure. One of the things that I want to say that went well was the prior organization to getting the event site set up. That was organized by Chrissy, and she did a beautiful job, and with a short list of volunteers was able to get it set up. And that's one thing that I really wanted. We have a nice sized room of folks here today. And I want you to know that it takes all of us to organize events and volunteers to step up and help with those. So when we have things coming up between now and the end towards November, where we're voting, we're going to hopefully do a lot of events, a lot of canvassing, a lot of different things for the candidates that we have running in the county as well as state and nationally. And I am, and the rest of the leadership are going to ask you to please step up and support those candidates and support the party in supporting them. So just please keep that in mind as we move forward. So the next thing that happened after Annie Andrews was the State Democratic Convention. Who in here attended the convention? All righty. So who would like to talk about what their experience was like there?
I enjoyed it. So we had a large number. We had 28 people.
28 folks from Lawrence County attended.
It was crowded.
There were a lot of people there from the state, yes, sir?
The executive director told me he was kind of mad. He said, people, you can't get them to tell you anything. He says, we only had 800 people registered. And you had to pay so much per chair to rent the chairs in the facility. And he said, I had those chairs out here. He says, 1,100 people showed up, so I'm having to go find chairs and steal chairs from places. So,
Yeah,
it was
they
a
only
good
had-
crowd attending.
They only had so many chairs for Lawrence County, like about 5 people were gonna show up. And so we were borrowing and stealing chairs from other folks too. So definitely, it was kind of frustrating as a rural county for that to happen. Yes, sir.
I thought there was a lot more energy there this year than the year before.
I agree. It was really pretty dynamic in terms of just all the speakers. There was a lot of energy there, and the national speakers were very good too.
And the other thing I enjoyed was that we had an opportunity to see the other candidates, because our main goal this year was making sure we fill all the slate of officers, and we have a full slate on the ballot. And the ones that we didn't get to come to our convention, and the ones that are down in the lower part of the state, we got an opportunity to see those faces to match up with those names, even though I had already voted.
Yeah.
I had already voted too.
Early voting, but
Yeah.
anyway, and that's what I like, that we really showed out for early voting, and I hope we continue the process, because we set records, and I think we can do what we wanna do when we want to.
Say that again. For the cheap seats. Let's all hear that. Yes, we can do what we want to do when we want to. And I think that this state has an opportunity to turn purple this year. So,
We found out that was a, person running for office in every office that was open, correct?
every state house, every house candidate has a Democrat candidate running for office this year. This is, I don't know if that's ever happened before. Those of you who've lived here longer than I have, please speak up about that. But, and that's the exciting thing, because right now the Republicans have a supermajority in the state house and Senate too. And so because of that, it has really tied the hands of elected officials who are there for the people and not the money. And so, or whatever their ideation is and why they're there, it might not be money, it might be something else, but it's not definitely the people. So this is an opportunity to really flip that supermajority, at least get enough Democrats voted in so we have a bone in the fight more than normal.
And talking about the importance of why having every single race contested, every single candidate brings their own network in, brings their own community in, and it gives people something to vote for, so they'll show up for those statewide races that are more flippable.
Absolutely.
And combining that with the energy, like Keith mentioned, whenever Sylvia Wright took the stage, they hadn't even said her name yet. She hadn't even said hello, and the entire room had just erupted with cheers, wanting to see her elected. Same thing with Jermaine Johnson. I felt really good about the ballot that I cast the first day of early voting whenever I went down there and saw the energy in the room for the candidates that I voted for. Same thing with Tiffany Boozer for Comptroller General. So it's a very exciting slate of candidates this year.
Absolutely.
And if you didn't get to go to the Clyde Fish
Fish fry.
fry, you missed out this year. I had my 5 pieces of breaded fish, and it was the best fish.
We didn't get anything.
And the beverages were excellent as well.
And there was a person who showed up with a big giant Trump head, micromade Trump head, and going around shaking people's hands and getting pictures. It was a lot of fun. And then of course there were the candidates there after the dinner. They all showed up, and that's, I think, when y'all came too, right?
And the medical emergency that we experienced, we were involved in.
We don't need to talk too much about that, but the county next to us, there was a young man who had a seizure, and Annie Andrews actually came and helped him out. So before EMS stepped in, so yeah, we were hopefully glad that she was able to be there and take care of them.
About those candidates, McShanna is, in Columbia today.
Right, I'm gonna
Can-
talk about that. So, yeah, we're gonna get to all the candidates that, especially for Lawrence County, because that's really what we as a county need to focus on too. So, primary election. Are you happy with how it turned out?
Very.
Yep, it was an exciting primary. Finally, there were some people who were confused, like, well, why didn't we get to answer a question? Why wasn't there a question for the Democrats on the ballot? And the Democrat Party and the Republican Party can put questions on the ballot to kind of see what their voters are interested in or want, and none of that happened for the Democrat Party this time. So that's just a thing that happens. And I know of some Democrats, and I hung my head, and there may be people in here who did that too, but that voted the Republican ballot.
Say it ain't so.
In the primary.
Oh.
Yeah, and I was, they thought they could sway what happened with that vote, and, it's like, man, in my opinion, I want to see every Democrat vote Democrat. And if you're independent, choose what you want to choose, right? But please, there's enough people voting Republican in this state. Let's vote Democrat.
Linda West said that 23% people in Lawrence County came out to vote.
Only 23%. Now that's a high rate, but it's still only 23%.
That's in both primaries, right?
Yeah,
Both primaries, total primaries. I think the last time it was like 2 years ago, I think they were looking at the same type of primary. It was 17%. So if you imagine that 17% or 22% of the voters in Lawrence County determined who was going to be on the ticket, helped determine who was going to be on the ticket. If we had gotten upwards of 50% of the voters, can you imagine what that would look like? So that's where, especially in November, because most people come out in November more than they do in the primaries. But we're going to talk about that later in terms of new business, what that's going to look like. Any turnout observations that you had regarding the primaries that anybody wants to speak to?
Well, the overall Democratic turnout statewide was nearly double the comparable election in 22.
Right. The negative thing I have to say was that, and that's not about the Democratic primary, it's about the Republican primary. I think it really shook them up when Ebbett did not win, even though she had the highest percentage during the primary, but when it came that time for runoff, I think a lot of people were shocked that Wilson outdid her.
I was kind of shocked too.
I think,
He really outdid her.
he really did. And I think it shocked a lot of people how the number of the voters that come out for him.
But Trump ended up endorsing both candidates.
He didn't want to. You know why he did that?
He wanted to.
Either one that won, he would have still been a winner, not because he was for either one of them.
Yeah.
That is so true.
Yeah, that was kind of humorous that he went ahead and just decided to do a social media post endorsing both of them.
Can't be wrong. If you
Can't
do
be
both of
wrong
them.
if you're gonna endorse both, right? Right.
Kelly.
Yes, ma'am.
One of the questions that we had at the coffee and chat was for new voters, that they're coming and getting confused they get all excited and they get in there and they get confused at the questions and they don't know how to vote. So I brought it up to, I asked the question at the voter registration. I help count votes after an election, to the state asked us to do. And we've got to figure out how we can get to the new voters, or the young voters, the first time voters, and reassure them that they can ask questions. You can ask questions that the polling people can't tell you who to vote for, but they can explain it. You can say, I have a question. They can't tell you who to vote for, but if you say, how do I go back, or how do I do this? And you can also explain to them that they can have who they want to vote for in their hand. You don't have to go in there not knowing who you want to vote for. you can go to the, what is it, scvotes.gov,
Mm-hmm.
and you can have your sample ballot with you. So young voters and older voters, I did it. I went in there with my cheat sheet too, because I was confused. So we need to get it to people that they don't have to go in there being confused.
You can even have it on your phone. You just can't use your phone to take a picture of your ballot. I remember whenever I was running 4 years ago, I had to call Lynn about the Green Pond voting district because there were firefighters telling people they couldn't even take their phone in the building. And she got that straightened out right away.
And that's where it's helpful to have, you can have observers at each polling station. And I know we have a couple or a few people in here who've been observers before. Susie, you were an observer, right? And you too, Daniel? I was one last year. What was the experience like for you?
Well, I have observed, Chrissy and I talked about that very problem. I observed that particularly first-time 18-year-old voters are intimidated. They're intimidated because it's a new thing. Surprisingly, the technology confuses them a little bit, and they're a little afraid of that, where they shouldn't be, because they probably can do it better than we can. But I observed that. The only other thing I observed is where there tended to be any conflict. I didn't do poll watching for this last election, but I will in the fall. Republicans are very aggressive and will push everything that they can, particularly in trying to wear political stuff into the voting area. They, even though they are politely approached by staff, or if you as an observer ask staff to address something, they get a lot of pushback, real ugly stuff. But, you've got some resources that you can call on, and there are ways to address that. And honestly, like I said, I'm gonna do it again this fall. I'm anticipating this is gonna be the ugliest election that we go through.
And you have the right to,
Although
yeah. go ahead.
Lynn West
Yeah, I was gonna
handles
say.
Lynn's
everything
good.
immaculately.
And Lynn West is the director of Lawrence County voter registration.
She is the most fair person I have ever worked with.
And her assistant is great too.
Yeah,
she's-
Is awesome too.
She's
So-
And we've also got Shoshone in there too.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
Shoney, yeah, they all are. They're very good.
But, I think it's critical this fall, if you have an opportunity to be a poll watcher, if you wanna step it up and do that, it's real easy to do the training. You're gonna spend a long day,
I tell
but,
you.
I think it's gonna be real critical that we be there this year, because I think we're gonna have a lot of challenge. And, we need to make, particularly these new voters, comfortable coming in. I don't want them to be intimidated. And, I just think we've gotta be vigilant this year, because I think we're gonna see it in Lawrence County.
And for voters who need handicap voting as well, they have Kirby, the little handicap
yeah.
voter. Just make sure that if someone needs to use that, you call ahead or have them go inside. But here's the caveat. If Daniel needs to use that machine, I can't tell the poll worker that he needs my assistance to use that machine. Like, Daniel needs help pushing the buttons, or I need to push the buttons. Daniel needs to tell the poll worker that he needs my assistance. I can't be the one to inform the poll worker.
But if you're driving, you can be the one to go inside and say
Yeah,
there's
no,
a handicap.
like, I can tell them that, hey, I need handicap, the Kirby, can you bring it out? But Daniel needs me helping Daniel push the buttons, or telling him what's on the poll reader. I can't be the one to tell them that he needs my
And
help.
they love doing that.
Yeah.
The poll workers love going out and helping people outside.
Okay, Jim, what you
I
got?
just want to correct a misstatement that you made.
Okay.
You said the Republicans were aggressive. They're not, they're dishonest.
I think they're both, Jim.
But I don't know if you
Aggressively
saw the thing on the
dishonest.
TV where the preacher went over and beat up this 20-year-old man, was charged with assault.
Yeah.
It was on TV the last couple of days. Well, we got one of those preachers here too. Wayne Wicker, Reverend Wayne Wicker, was poll watching down at Cross Hill. And they would, when they change these lists and everything, then a lot of times people's names get put in the wrong places. And people would come in there and they'd say, well, I've been voting here for 30 years. One lady was like 80 or 90 years old, said, I've been voting here all my life. And they'd say, and just by chance, they typically were people of color. And they'd say, well, I'm sorry, you need to go up to the courthouse. One guy came in and says, well, I'm here on my lunch hour, I work in Greenwood, I can't go up to the courthouse, I gotta get back to work, I can't go up there. Well, they're supposed to be able to vote a provisional ballot, and they would just turn them away, and
Yeah.
Wayne Wicker went berserk. He said, I'm telling you one more time, somebody's coming in here, FBI, somebody, I don't know who's gonna call, I'm gonna call, but I'm calling somebody. This is stop. He started screaming and yelling.
Yeah, put that down.
But I went down there the next 2 years and was a poll watcher. But these people can vote provisional ballots, but there's a lot of, that's one of the biggest things, there's always somebody's name that's not there because they screwed it up somewhere along the line. And they can vote a provisional ballot and they look it up and correct it and they'll count that ballot the next week. So that's another thing that poll watchers need to do. If they say, you just can't vote, say, well, they can vote a provisional ballot, which is a ballot that's put in an envelope and put in another box, and it's not counted until the full commission looks at it.
And they are trained, the poll workers are trained to not just cause any kind of disturbance, do a provisional ballot.
Yes.
Because you want it to go as smooth as you can.
Well, this was
And
Cross
that's why
Hill,
we
and they
have
had been trained
readers.
too.
Readers to address the issue if they have on T-shirts or whatever before they get inside to vote. That's why we have readers.
And they can't, here's another one, a candidate can stay outside and greet you.
Yes.
Yes.
They can,
They can.
they can greet you and say hello and do whatever, but they can't have signs 500 feet.
Exactly.
It's really weird, and that's because of people down in Columbia. So just to let you know that they can stand outside.
I agree with Jim on one thing. The number one problem I've observed in Lawrence County is the problem with people being at the wrong polling site for whatever reason and being told that they have to either go to that polling site or they have to go to the courthouse. I saw that at one particular precinct in a rural area, but it was a very busy one, and 9 times out of 10 or more, it was a person of color, and they were not offered a provisional ballot. And as a poll watcher, I can't say you can vote a provisional ballot, but I can walk over to a staff member and say, you need to offer this person a provisional ballot. And that occurred a lot in the southern part of the county, where people went to the driver's license office, the DMV, and registered there, and got registered in Greenville County with a similar address instead of Lawrence County. So, but it's typically a person of color that is not offered the provisional ballot, and that's one thing you watch for.
Well,
Yes.
there are certain reasons that we offer a provisional ballot.
Right.
But if you're at the wrong precinct, you have to go to your precinct. It's different occasions for the
Right.
provisional, but if you're at the wrong precinct, you have to go to your precinct.
So you're not offered a provisional ballot
No.
if you're at the wrong precinct?
Exactly.
That's why we try to tell you.
Well, hold on a second.
Well, I think,
This is the situation, when they move these lines on precincts sometimes,
Yeah.
and they don't tell people.
Yeah.
And what was happening across Hill, there were 2 very prominent Republicans running it. And they would tell you, you're not on the list, you gotta go up to the courthouse and talk to them. And then, these were people that had limited mobility or worked in Greenwood and things like that. And, but after Wayne Wicker pitched a fit, they didn't do it anymore that day. I went down the next year, and they had made some changes again. I did Mountville, and I'd go back and forth between Mountville and Cross Hill. But at Mountville, the problem was they sent a young kid down there who had never done it before, knew nothing about it, and the lady was supposed to be helping him, had a medical emergency in her family and had to take somebody to the hospital. So he says, I don't have any clue what to do. And I helped him. I was observant, but I told him, told him about provisional ballots and things of that nature. But if you have always voted there, and they just say, well, you're not here now, they still need to let you vote a provisional ballot, because what precinct you're supposed to be in when they vote, count those provisional ballots, they're supposed to put you in the right precinct at that time.
And also, we can invite Lynn to come in and,
Right, and
Yeah,
that,
she'd be
that
glad
would
to do
be
that.
an excellent thing to
She's-
do. We've
yeah.
had her here before, and
Yes.
this year with it upcoming, I think is
Exactly.
an important
But
thing.
they have poll watcher training. We're
Yes.
here, sitting here talking, but we know right from wrong. Just the people outside that do know right from wrong. So you need to be helping those people outside. We just brushing off our opinion and talking, but we are still not hitting the people who we need to touch.
Absolutely.
And when you're not touching the people you need to touch, and all you're doing is, vibrating with
So
the
we-
mouth,
we-
we need to make sure what we need, we need to put our money where, our mouth where we need to be, and not just right here,
Yes, ma'am.
telling each other what we should do. But what we need to do is tell those other people. Make sure you get into areas that need those particular things and talk to those people.
Yes,
ma'am.
Because that's what we're supposed to be about.
Yes,
And
Miss
Leah
Alma?
needs poll workers and we need poll watchers.
Yes, Miss Elma?
So we need to take the men outside in the public, and have people in the public that have never used those machines,
Right,
Oh,
and
yeah.
show them how to do it. So we all know how to do it.
Right.
We all know the way, but we need to take it outside.
which sounds like organizing an event for the public that would require volunteers to help get it set up together, which I'm gonna come back to that and just revisit that again. But that's a great idea, that to have an educational event, not just for Democrats, but for all voters in Lawrence County to understand what this looks like, how to do that.
Anytime it's the first thing for you, you get fearful.
Yes, yes.
Your thought, what you had in your mind is all gone.
They're afraid they're gonna lose their ballot. They're afraid they're gonna mess up and lose their ballot.
Well, I can't tell you too how many people, because of my profession, that I have run into that have a felony in their history, that think that they cannot vote because they have been convicted of a felony. And educating them that if they have, served their time, paid their restitution, and that is clearly shown that they have every right to vote just as much as the next person. So there's a lot of misunderstanding out there too.